Hi everyone, Alistair Davies here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you for tuning in today. Today we're going to discuss the wrists in detail, kind of from pre-impact, impact and post-impact. Ideally what I want to see them do, the role they would play, and really responding to a question I've had, so thank you for that, about extension and flexion of the wrist when it changes and how it should change. And we're going to talk in the ideal world, which I know exists in a very small amount, but we're going to talk in the ideal world, so there is more than one way to do this for sure. But the way I'm going to describe to you is kind of the ideal way, the way to make you the most consistent, hit the strongest shots, hit the ball the furthest, and really control the club head through the ball and the loft and the club face rotation through the ball as best we can. So let's get stuck into that if we can, so keep watching to find out how. So as I said, I've had a good question on this, and I really welcome questions, that I can come back to you with a video response. So this is talking about all the kind of wrist action. So we're going to talk a bit about trail wrist and a bit about lead wrist, and when they would lose. The question was all about when you would lose the extension, when it becomes flexion, and so on. So basically, if we look at pre-impact here at this position here, what we would like to see here is the lead wrist would have some flexion, which is this way, okay, so bowing of the wrist. The trail wrist would have extension, which is setting it back like this, or cupping it. So that's where they would be. Now, in an ideal world, if you kept your maximum amount of extension on your trail wrist throughout the whole impact area, that would be a great feel for 90% of golfers. Far too many golfers, as they get into impact, this trail wrist goes into flexion. So it does this to the club. If you look at it, it adds that loft, it scoops that ball, it throws away due to many reasons. Sometimes the body shutting down, sometimes because the club face is open, and then we're trying to close the face through impact by scooping through instinct, which we don't want, okay? If you kept this max extension on for as long as you possibly could, that would probably help 90% of golfers out there in the world. Now, as we're keeping the extension on, there is rotation. This arm is rotating as we keep that extension on. So what that does, keeping the extension on, it keeps that shaft leaning forward, keeps that club face facing downward, so it keeps that club de-lofted to get that launch angle low and the club face in a strong position. And then we go through here. Now, it's pretty impossible to keep it on that max extension when you're going at force and speed. So, as I said, as a concept, you could really feel you were doing this to the utmost effect. The lead wrist, ideally, should be going from a flex state here, maintaining this flex state. I wouldn't mind if this increased in flexion or stayed the same. And as we go through the golf ball here, keeping this flex state. And then from here upwards, it would start to go into a more extended state. Depending on when we actually started to get the golf club arcing round, how quickly that would happen. But to get you to go from the impact to post-impact to finishing with style, as we go from here to the top, finishing with style, that's when the extension starts to come in. You couldn't keep that flexed on completely because you would lose a little bit of speed. So the extending and recocking the wrist helps again with speed. So the flexion controls the club face, de-lofts the club, gives us that ball on turf ideally, and then kind of the just unweighting, the finishing with style is all part of, again, the balance, the synergy, the relationships we would want to see through to the finish. So essentially, max extension, max flexion, maintain it as best you can as you turn your body through the ball. As this also happens, the wrist will start to get a little bit more into ulnar. We don't want massive amount of ulnar, but it happens, so we can't really help it. It's the unweighting of that shaft, again, like this, seeking this inline condition. And then let it go out there for as long as you can, and then let it finish with style, with the body ideally just turning and completing and extending. So, conceptually for me, whether you think about your right hand or your left hand, it doesn't matter. Right wrist set back as much as you can, left wrist flexed or knuckles down as much as you can. TaylorMade badge, in my case, pointed to the floor as much as I can. These are great feels, and I don't think I'd ever see a player overdo these. 22 years of coaching, I've had one player, I think, in all those years has had probably too much shaft lean and too much kind of flexion in the wrist at contact. one player in 22 years. And I've coached 10 national champions and 30 county champions, so good players. And a lot of pros as well, by the way. So 3 Lady European Tour players and a few Challenge Tour players and Mini Tour players along the way. And I'd probably say 1 in 22 years teaching full time. So I think most of us can go for it without worrying about doing this too much. So let's just try hitting a shot, feel at max positions as we work through the golf ball. Really try hard to get those then. I didn't get them absolutely perfect because, again, I didn't hit a ball on turf, but I am hitting the ball off a tee peg, so my radius is going to be a bit higher anyway. Let's try one more shot, and I'll try hitting this one off the ground instead of the tee. That one was really good, really pleased with that nice divot. Really felt I had that kind of shaft lean much more in the golf swing. Whether I did or not, we'll have to look back at the video. But it's something definitely I can feed more in my golf swing for sure. So there you have it, a bit more detail hopefully on the wrists, some concepts, some feels you can do to really encourage the right kind of impact positions and shapes that we would want through the golf ball. If you have enjoyed today's video, please like and share the video. It really helps my channel grow, and I really appreciate if you could do that. Also, please chat down below, just like this gentleman did, ask questions, ask for requests of videos, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Lastly, if you haven't followed me or subscribed, please hit my logo down this bottom corner, join me in my journey, and let me help you try and enjoy your golf and improve your golf a little bit more. Thanks for tuning in, and see you again here soon.